What if the greatest prison you'll ever escape is the prison of other people's expectations? And what if freedom doesn't come from changing the world, but from choosing how you see it? Hi, I'm Peter, and welcome back to Books for Thoughts, where we explore timeless books that open the door to a freer, truer way of living. This week, we're looking at what it really means to live without the weight of constant approval. In today's book, The Courage to be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga takes us deep into that question. It's written as a dialogue between a philosopher and a young man, a back and forth about happiness, responsibility, and freedom. But at its heart, it carries a single radical idea. Your life changes the moment you decide it's yours to live. The philosopher in this book makes a bold claim. Happiness is not something that comes from achievement, recognition, or circumstance. It's a choice, not in the shallow, just be positive way, but in the deeper sense that happiness is found when you stop outsourcing your worth to the opinions of others. Think about how much of life is spent chasing approval, grades, promotions, likes, compliments. We get hooked on validation as if someone else is holding the key to our joy. But here's the shift. The moment you stop trying to meet everyone's expectations, you create space to actually meet your own. The philosopher reminds us, you are not living to satisfy others. You are living for yourself. And in that, happiness becomes something you step into, not something you're given. Most of us don't even notice how much we bend ourselves to fit the shapes others want us to take. We call it being reasonable or getting along. But underneath it's fear, fear of rejection, fear of being disliked. This book argues that freedom begins when we can carry that dislike without breaking. When we realize being disliked doesn't mean we're wrong, it simply means we're no longer pretending. It's a hard truth, one that rubs against everything we've been taught about belonging. But there's a quiet strength in knowing the people who truly matter will meet you in your honesty, not your performance. One of the most liberating ideas in this book is what's called the separation of tasks. It's the simple recognition that not everything is your responsibility. Your job is your task. Other people's opinions of your job, that's their task. We often suffer because we confuse the two. We try to control how people see us, shape their reactions, earn their approval, but that's not ours to carry. When you separate your task from theirs, something shifts. You stop living reactively. You start focusing on what you can actually influence. Your choices, your values, your presence. It's not easy to put down the weight of other people's judgments, but it's lighter than you think. Freedom in this book isn't described as rebellion or escape. It's not about cutting ties or running away. It's the freedom of staying in the same world, the same relationships, the same work, but showing up differently. It's knowing you don't have to perform to be enough. It's realizing that courage isn't about fighting others. It's about standing with yourself. When you stop needing everyone to like you, something surprising happens. You begin to like yourself more. And from that place, your connections deepen because now they're built on truth, not performance. Another insight from this book is how deeply comparison shapes our unhappiness. We measure ourselves constantly against friends, colleagues, strangers on the internet. But comparison is endless. No matter how much you achieve, there will always be someone with more talent, more money, more recognition. The philosopher reminds us, life isn't a competition. You're not running against anyone else. Your task is simply to walk your path, not faster, not slower, not in imitation of another, but in alignment with your own feet. Once you let go of comparison, you realize someone else's success doesn't threaten your own. Their story isn't your story, and when you stop measuring, you make room to actually live. Happiness in this philosophy isn't a reward at the end of striving. It's something present right now in the act of being fully yourself. But it takes courage to choose it. Why courage? Because happiness requires responsibility. If happiness is a choice, then you can no longer blame your boss, your family, or your circumstances for withholding it. It means stepping out of the role of victim and into the role of author. That shift can feel terrifying because it means the pen is in your hands, but it's also deeply empowering. It means your life is no longer waiting on anyone else. One of the most beautiful parts of this book is its reminder that freedom doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean walking away from everyone and everything. It means relating differently. Love, the philosopher says, is found when two people stand side by side, respecting each other's tasks and choosing to walk together without control. It's not dependency and it's not ownership. It's the recognition that we grow most when we are free and when we allow others to be free too. And beyond love, there's community. When you stop chasing approval, you can begin offering contribution. Instead of asking, do they like me? You start asking, how can I serve here as myself? It's a subtle shift, but it turns life from a stage where you perform into a place where you connect. The courage to be disliked sounds harsh at first. Who wants to be disliked? But when you sit with it, you realize it's not about rejection at all. It's about truth. It's about living so fully in alignment with your values that you no longer compromise your soul for applause. It's about creating a life that feels honest, even if it doesn't look impressive from the outside. And it's about remembering that approval is fickle, but authenticity is steady. This courage is quiet, not loud. It doesn't shout or fight. It simply lives gently and clearly as itself. And in doing so, it gives permission to others. Because when one person chooses authenticity, it creates space for everyone around them to do the same. The courage to be disliked is not a manual, but an invitation to live lighter, freer, and closer to the truth of who you are. If any part of this resonated with you, I encourage you to grab a copy of the book for yourself. There's something powerful about sitting with its words, slowly, in your own time. And if you enjoy reflections like these, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Books for Thoughts. Each week, we share 10-minute breakdowns that invite you back to what matters most: freedom, connection, and the courage to live your own life. Until next time, walk gently, live bravely, and remember, your worth was never in their hands.